Here we go. Hello, Mr. Charlie.
Hello, Miss Simone. Nice to see you.
Good to see you too. So I would say like today we will have it in English only, as I didn't see that there's translation. Is that good? Or should I translate?
Great.
Great. So what are we talking about?
We're talking about how relationships get stuck and old and how to revitalize and bring them into new joy.
Okay. How do you do that?
Good question. I want to start with committing to our lives. Like, unless we're committed to our lives, we don't put the energy into our life that could create something that would be really wonderful for us. So the first question I have is, how committed are we to our lives? And are we willing to be the commitment to our lives that would change it to being something we truly would desire in our life?
That sounds wonderful. And at the same time, it's very cryptic when I listen to that. It's like if you like, you know what I mean? It's like as if they would live in a bubble somehow.
Yeah. Well, what if that bubble was the place to live? Like, what if your life could be a bubble? And I know that may sound cryptic, but it really is a choice. It's a choice to ask yourself, what would really work for me in my life? What would really work for me for relationships? Like, is this relationship really working for me? And if you would like more out of it, asking yourself, what would create more for me?
May I interrupt you? How would you work? How would you know that a relationship is working for you? Because
Don't wait.
perceive.
I really had to take that question in, and then I asked
Mhm.
myself that question. I said, don't we really know that? Actually, if we stop, is it that actually unclear? Or do we really, if we take a moment to ask ourselves, is this really working for me? Don't we really know that? How much do you not want to know that if you allowed yourself to know is instantly available?
I love it. I'm just asking because I can perceive so many people talk themselves into a relationship and then they think it's working whilst it's not working. So therefore, I love to stop and really go to the energy.
But that's just it. It's like, if you stop and ask that question, is this really working for me? And see, I think the way that you can keep going on in a relationship when it's not working for you, pretending to yourself that it is, that you don't stop to actually ask that question.
Mm-hmm.
Is this working for me? What would work for me greater? What would work for me better? And how would this relationship work for me even better? And to ask yourself that question brings, when you ask a question, you get new awarenesses. If you don't ask a question, you don't get new awarenesses. So let's start with that. Are you willing to ask yourself questions about what you truly desire in life? What would really work for you? What would work for you in any relationship you're in, whether it's a lover, a partner, a husband, a wife, a parent, a friend, a work relationship, whatever it is. Is this really working for me? How could it work better? What do I require for it to work better? And to allow yourself, you don't have to do anything with it yet, but allow yourself to have awareness, first of all, of this is my life. What do I want to create? What would make me happy? What brings me joy? Like, even if you don't know the answer to those questions, and a lot of us don't, because maybe no one ever asked us those questions as a kid growing up. Hey, sweetie, What would make you really happy today?
Hmm.
What brings you joy? And or reflecting back to us, oh, I see that that's what brings you joy. Maybe we haven't had people around us who supported and nurtured our joy. And so what if we started doing that by
Hmm.
committing to what nurtures our joy, what nurtures our happiness? And so asking the question, what makes me happy? What brings me joy? What brings me joy in a relationship? What could bring me more joy in this relationship? And really be willing to then allow the universe to play with you and bring the awareness to you. Because when you ask a question, you don't ask it just to you in your mind. Since we are all infinite beings connected to the entire universe, when you ask a question, when you make a conclusion, you're pretty much alone in the conclusion. When you ask a question, it opens you up to getting new awarenesses from all over the universe that can contribute to you because you opened in a question. You opened the space up to, I would really like to know what would be greater for me in this relationship. Universe, show me.
Hmm. I always say, like, go to that curiosity when you ask a question, like, really, like, be curious. What might show up from this, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm just asking because I guess a lot of people don't ask, will this work for me? Because they already have concluded it will be a no. And then they have concluded they have to leave the person, which is not
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Not at all. Not at all. You know, when you start asking questions, going to the conclusion, I have to leave this person, is actually a contraction. It's not an expansion. It's only one little thing that you say where you have to like pull out, you have to withdraw. What if not? What if you could be more of you? What if you could be more of you? And what if they could be more of them?
You mean asking the question, what will work for me, means you show up more? Had
Yes,
nothing had nothing even to do with the other side? Hmm.
exactly.
Hmm.
What if you could show up more as you and be you, whatever that is? And what if you don't even know what that is yet? What if you don't know what being you is in relationships because you've been programmed that when you're in relationship, you have to consider how it lands on everybody. You have to first consider what their reaction would be. You have to first consider what they would judge you for being it. What if you didn't? And what if you could relax into being you more and allowed yourself to be whoever you are and allow yourself to show up being however you are? And how do you know that the person, see, if you prejudge it, that they're going to have a certain reaction, then you're going to create that reality because you've already chosen that that's what it's got to be. But if you allowed yourself just to relax into being you, whatever it is in the moment, like grumpy, happy, silly, tired, what if you could allow yourself just to show up being you? What if the person on the other side liked that actually?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you haven't been you being you, what if that's what they don't like?
Hmm.
They've never really expressed it. But what if that also doesn't allow them to be them?
Totally. I just had like an experience myself last week where I was in so much pain and I didn't like myself at all because like I'm just sitting here whining. like I but my partner was so an allowance and contributive. And that was a complete new experience for me because like that's the moment when I in the past withdraw, just go into my, how do you say, autonomy and like try to handle everything by myself, like, and to allow myself to have that show up even if I don't like it myself. Okay, it's also good. It's like,
You
oh
know,
well, that's what, like, yeah, there was just no filters anymore possible, like.
I love that example because everywhere, every which way you turn in that, there's beauty. I mean, the beauty in you allowing yourself to be where you are, the beauty of your friend, partner, whoever it was, to contribute to you, the beauty of you allowing yourself to receive that, to receive them, which would be a gift to them because you received what they were contributing to you so they could feel good about being a contributor to you. I mean, there's just beauty in all of that. That somehow we grow up in this world where we contract from all of what you just said. We contract from the beauty of just showing up being ourselves. We contract from contributing to another, like your friend, partner just wanted to give something to you, just contribute to you. Like, if you're going to be in a relationship, why be in it if you're not there to contribute to the other person?
Like, but wait, Charlie,
yes.
Usually I'm the one gifting and not on the receiving end. Like, that was like a challenging part in the beginning. To me, it's easy to give to everyone. Like, but to have that in the other way is like, okay. Yeah.
Well, the weird thing that we all get into is about measuring things like gifting and receiving as opposed to just gifting and receiving.
Yeah.
So, like, what if we could get rid of the measuring sticks about relationship? And what if you just let your heart go wild in both gifting and receiving? Like, you just opened up a space where you were going to gift to them regardless of anything in your head about gifting and receiving, just for the hell of it. And what if you opened up a space to just receive of their gifting without measuring?
And that part, that's new for me.
Yeah, well, everything that doesn't see, we have a clearing statement in access consciousness. And I'm not going to give it all right now. So it's just called pod and pock, which means all the points that you have created and destroyed that don't allow you to have greater space, all the limitations that you have, you just melt away. So what if wherever you find a contraction, like you find a contraction in openly creating the space to receive, you just every day pod and pock that. All the places where I'm contracting around receiving, pod and pock. All the places I'm contracting around gifting, pod and pock. All just pod and pocket. Even if you don't right now, you're hearing this little thing and you don't know, I don't know what pod and pock means. Doesn't matter. Just use it. Think of it as like a magic pill. And if you think it's a magic pill, it will be a magic pill. Because your point of view creates your reality. So if you'd like to say bop and boop, say bop and boop. And it's just your way of like letting go of something that up to this point hasn't worked for you. And what if letting go of something at this point that hasn't worked for you is way easier than they make it out to be in this world? What if you could just say, I magically am allowing that to go away now? Because the universe that we live in, that you're not alone and separated from, allows for that. It doesn't have all the limitations of things can't happen. It operates miraculously, magically, not computationally. And it just allows, if you open a space for something to be let go of magically, it supports you in that. So what magical change could happen for you and your relationships just by allowing for the possibility that they could change magically? And anything that doesn't allow that, pod and pock, bop and boop, whatever you say.
Chicken soup was one time a suggestion, right?
Yes.
And can you speak to the title? Why did you choose that title? From
The title of the class?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, from Soulmates. The class is called From Soulmates to Cellmates. How to break out and restore joy in relationships. Because there's a lot of talk about soulmates in the world, like finding your soulmate, and I'm not going to get into whether soulmates actually exist or not or whatever, but there's an energy around it. And it's an energy of that space where in some ways you feel like you could be yourself and they could be their self. And there could be this space of contribution and generosity and love and connection and so forth that was full of ease and full of joy. And anyway, that's what I think of in that term. As soulmates. It's an energy. It's a space where we have it. And so many of us have had that with somebody at some point. It could have been even a family member. It could have been a friend. It could have been a lover you met and then never had anything with them beyond that. But that place of like, where everything was an open gift, where everything kind of sparkled. And most relationships that we think of as like partnerships and so forth have a moment that they start with that. Or you don't keep going at it. There's something in there that kind of went, woo, and kind of sparkled and kind of like, woo, and that place where that special soulmate sort of energy was present. And that's what draws us in. Like, I want to explore more. I want more of that. Give me more of that, please. And that's what pulls us in. And then over time, we get absorbed into the rules and structures of this relationship, of this reality, of this world. And we get pulled into things like judgment, where the soulmate energy didn't have it in it. We get pulled into the hurt, pull away, contraction, judge, that then measuring your gifting and receiving, like making sure you don't give too much and that you don't receive, Simone Zucker, too much.
I'm changing that. It's like, it's just to observe. And,
Yeah.
and
How are you changing that?
Like, for me, it was really like to watch myself and say, like, wow, I have not had allowed that in the past, and now I do. And that's like also to acknowledge when you make different choices, right? Like in the past, it was just like, I'm the one gifting, of course. And when it comes to me receiving, it's like, but now it's really changing. And that's the cool thing. Like, I love that being present and just see what are you choosing and what are you changing also. Yeah. So,
yeah. And then the sparkles happen again.
yeah.
Right. So let me say to people who also are resonating because so many people who are into kind of personal growth and development and so forth, there's a lot of us who are givers, who are gifters. And so a lot of us actually do have a kind of imbalance in our life where we see ourselves really open to gifting and not open to receiving. And we then struggle, well, how would I do that and so forth. Play with the universe first, which is always wanting to contribute if you're open. And just make a declaration even. Universe, I am open to receive way greater than I ever have before. And allow the universe to play with you and to see what starts showing up. If every day you just made that request, that declaration, that prayer, that demand, whatever, I am open to receive. And like even maybe put your arms out like that so that like you physically open something up energetically where in your body, where your body and you are now way more open to receive. And the request is for that to come greater today. And then let the sparkles start to happen.
That's beautiful.
What
And
if
as you and as you speak, I also can acknowledge, damn, I'm mimicking so many people. Like the awareness of what all healers in the world choose, and I just like it's so important to really ask what's my reality with all of this, because otherwise you just swim in the ocean of everyone else and not go with like, wait a second, that's what everyone else is doing, and they don't even like to know about the tools. Good. I have the tools. I have to make an active choice in something different, that something different can show up for me. Yeah.
absolutely. We swim in the ocean of our families that we grew up in often, is that we learn so much about relationship from those people. You know, like how much of our relationship did we learn from our mother before we were a year old? How much did we learn from our father before we were a year old? And we learn it energetically. I mean, they're not just there teaching us, like, this is, look, son, this is, do as I do, you know, but you're seeing like, oh, this is what people do. This is what I have to do, is I have to be like this. I have to be shut down. I have to have a job I don't like. I have to have a relationship that I stay in, and neither do I consider ever leaving, but I also don't consider making way greater. And that I don't invite myself and my whatever, my wife, my husband, my lover, whatever, into greater. And we learn all these rules. But what if right now, listening to Simone and me is the moment in your life where you ask the question, what if it could be greater for me?
But isn't that selfish?
Yes, it is. How beautiful that is. Because everything you've been taught about selfish is a lie.
Oops.
I know, right? What if everything you've been taught is selfish, is a lie, and it was only given to you by people who were also told that their desires were selfish. So they just handed it down to you. No, what if we all could be self-ish? In other words, open to receiving way more. Because the more we receive, the more we can gift. Because we're full up, we're happy, and you can gift way more from happiness than you can from unhappiness. You have more to gift others, and you have more desire because it's spilling over. When you receive way more, you gift way more. So let's have more of that kind of selfishness, the kind of selfishness that fills us up and gifts to others and gifts to this world far greater than any kind of contraction from that would be.
Wow. I'm just also acknowledging like so many people that you have seen in the world being selfish has been oftentimes takers. And then like, I don't want to be that. Instead of like, wait, what if there's a difference?
Yeah, great point, right? Yeah. And so, yeah, so maybe that was a model that you grew up with, or a model that you see in the world, is that takers. And takers are not receivers.
Big point.
Right? Takers are stealers. Like they have to they are not in the flow of the generosity of gifting and receiving, because every gift is a receiving and every receiving is a gifting in the flow of that communion. But a taker is somebody who's not in the flow of gift and receiving and just wants theirs. They want mine. So they cut themselves off from the energy of the beauty of gifting and receiving. Like, I'll take mine.
Yeah.
And that's what they learn somewhere in their life, is you have to grab it, that you have to steal it, and that you have to like, I will have mine. And then that's a cutoff. That's a cutoff of the energy, as opposed to the energy both receiving and gifting and gifting and receiving. It's a natural flow, the way trees receive the wind and then contribute it out by their leaves shaking.
And I guess it's just also to acknowledge, like, how often do we think it's a gifting and receiving and not acknowledge, oh, it's a taker in front of me. So it's not on you to make them receive. It's their choice to take and not receive. Because like a taker will never like they don't receive. It seems like they make a choice to not receive. They're just looking how to get, which
Yes,
is way different. Like, yeah,
yes,
it's just also again like, does it work? What am I aware of? And
yes.
acknowledge, even if it's uncomfortable.
But you see, takers actually underneath it, my point of view is the takers underneath it don't believe that anybody wants to gift to them.
Totally.
You know, and that's why they have this belief that they have to take and they have to grab for it. So one of the ways, if you're around a taker, I mean, you can play with this if you like, is lavishly gift to them. To make them so awkward that they don't know what to do with it. And at that point, watch what they do. They may have to reject you and push you away. And then you can just ask them, is my gifting to you too much for you? Is it hard for you? Is it hard for you to receive all that contribution I want to gift to you?
I guess the point is to not have any point of view about who is receiving what.
Exactly. It's not your business. Other people's gifting and receiving is not your business.
Mm-hmm.
Your business is your gifting and receiving. That's the business of your life. How alive do you wish to be? And how alive do you wish to swim in the gifting and receiving that's available for you if you wish to choose to step into it?
That's beautiful. So when will the call be, Charlie? Like when does the magic happen?
The magic happens. We're all breaking out of the prison of contraction and judgment next Tuesday. Next Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern time, which is like Boston, New York time. And then you can figure that out for your time in the world. And you can go find it at drcharlieverge.com and click on events. DrCharlie Verge, my name, drcharlieverge.com. And when you get there, click on events and come play and swim in this space of the possibility of creating relationships that have that energy of the joy of gifting and receiving.
That's beautiful. And I'm also like so grateful that you offer all these calls for such an affordable price. So it's not the money that makes people choose or not choose, because $19 is not a big deal. But the class, I would say you could put a bunch more zeros the worth of the call, because it's not about the money and there is a lot to receive if you choose. So,
and if anybody out there doesn't have the $19, get a hold of me and I'll give it to you for free.
Thank you so much, Charlie. And thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you, Simone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.